How's it going, everyone? It's me, Vivi, and welcome back to another Ratchet & Clank related video. So, on the topic of a Ratchet & Clank prequel, is it a good idea or a bad one? I did make a video in the past going more over the style of the game, the story, and all that. I think it was titled something along the lines, Imagined? For this one, I want to discuss it more. You know, not talk about the story and gameplay, specifically, but in general. I guess if you want to call it, look at it more in terms of a business perspective. I'm not saying I'm a business guy. No, but you get the point, right? We can all agree, how many times have I said this in the past? Ratchet & Clank is inevitable. Insomniac Games loves this series, and their latest game, I know it sounds old, but it sold extremely well. It's their biggest selling game at their studio, by the way. And why is that? You know what? I didn't make a video talking about that one specifically. Oh, and don't forget, it did enter the, how should I call this? It is going to get re-released under PlayStation Hits, which should give you a pretty big hint right about now, right? I have no idea if you picked up the 15th anniversary art book by Insomniac Games, of course, and Dark Horse, which is officially licensed. I did make a video as well. Awesome book. The book states the following near the end. Let me read it. Don't worry, guys, at this point what I'm about to read to you is pretty obvious, so don't take it as a spoiler, alright? I hope that's the case. Anyways, the game was a smash critical and commercial hit, and the future remains bright for Ratchet & Clank as they head toward the completion of their second decade. This is the first page before they start going over Ratchet & Clank 2016 in the book. You saw it there, folks. Ratchet & Clank 2016 was a commercial hit. The future remains bright for the series. It's way too obvious at this point. Just the sales alone of the reimagining pretty much makes it clear for all of us. The idea of a prequel. Okay, I did make a poll a short while ago. 1,000 people voted, 80% agreed, and 20% didn't. Let me bring up one of the people who agreed. Let me read their paragraph. This will be a very good way to further expand the lore, watching all the events on Fastoon unfold with our own eyes. And for Caden, we could get a hint at the end of the game. Did he really die? Or did he disappear for some reason and went into hiding? This could then be used as a plot point in a future Ratchet game. Okay, well, where is this person going with the whole is Caden alive or not? Well, this theory started when we all realized that the smuggler told Ratchet, hey, you remind me of this guy I met. This scene right here in particular. Now, I did also talk about that one, okay, but anyways, I just wanted to make it clear. Why does this video sound like I'm promoting all of my other videos? Anyways, the other part he mentioned, yes, a prequel will expand the lore, absolutely agreed. Some who disagreed said, no, because you know maybe the story will end up being too serious, which is something I really do not mind at this point. Let me read one of the people who disagreed, what they said. No, it may sound crazy, but sometimes it's time to hang it up. Let's be real, a new game would be really fun, but on the business side, they probably aren't going to make any money. Okay, about this reply, I have mixed feelings. I don't 100% agree with it. What about the reimagining? Let's talk about that one again. Think about it. Was a retelling of the first game really that necessary? Nope. From what I heard, the first game on PS2, story-wise, was tons better. And look where it took the reimagining, still. Sure, it's because we have Ratchet & Clank on the cover, sure, the game has Ratchet & Clank in it, not other characters, which would be the prequel, okay, I understand. But really, a bunch of newcomers bought Ratchet & Clank 2016. Without even knowing who these two characters are. Ratchet & Clank? I've never heard of these two. The game looks appealing. Very nice, I'm gonna buy it. Why not? $40. They saw the visuals, the gameplay, they bought it. Think of it this way. Imagine instead of reimagining, we had a prequel. Hey, you know, for the PS4, let's make a new game a prequel, which follows the same mechanic and visuals and stuff like that. Why wouldn't it sell? Just because we don't have Ratchet & Clank on the cover? Look, I understand it's not the two characters we're used to. If they don't market this game, of course it's not gonna sell. As I just said, the reimagining sold immensely, because not only the community got involved, but newcomers especially. They got intrigued. Beautiful looking game on PS4. Why wouldn't anyone have even the slightest curiosity with this game? And before I get the following in the comment section, well, the PS4 game is a game based off the movie. The series got a movie, so of course the game sold well. I don't know, maybe some of you might say that. Maybe not, I could be mistaken, but the movie, it did terrible. Without the movie, I think the game still would have sold the same. Actually, the game got released before the movie. It's not like the movie pushed the sales. Not at all. Think of this. Ratchet & Clank 2016, according to the community overall, from what I've heard, the story is pretty lackluster compared to the original, and yet, it's the best, not only best Ratchet & Clank game, selling-wise, but their best game at the studio. Their biggest game ever, in terms of sales. How is that possible? 1. Marketing. 2. And people simply loved it and they got it. 3. Okay, I can agree, the price tag, $40, okay. Some of you might argue on the marketing part, but I didn't get any ads or anything like that, but how do you explain the sales? Okay, the game was free in March for PS Plus members, but that alone did it really raise the numbers. That's something I never was too sure of. Does a free game via PS Plus count towards sales? Please tell me in the comments, I'm not too sure actually. But even before the game going free in March, the game was the fastest selling game. It's not their strongest game, and yet it sold super well. Anyways, here's something I wanted to say. Back in January, a live stream with James Stevenson, community leader, we had Brian Algeier as well, creative director of the Future Saga. These two, the clip I'm about to show you, they represent two sides of the community. Let me play the scene, and you'll know what I'm talking about. The question he's about to go over, I think I was the one who asked it, I don't remember, but yeah.
Question for Insomniac, this is briefly brought up once in the chat, what would you say about a prequel having two playable characters, Caden and Azimuth, two perspectives, which I think would bring something fresh to the series? I understand it wouldn't be Ratchet & Clank technically, but the feel would be there. Since the series is pretty well known, I think a prequel would be fantastic. Long question. Anyway, in terms of prequel, who knows where the future of Ratchet & Clank? That said, I think Ratchet and Clank are important characters. I'm not certain. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting dilemma because certainly with the recent PS4 game, that was sort of a reimagination of the original game.
Right.
So, does one continue from the reimagination, or does one continue from into the Nexus? So.
And of course, that's assuming another game ever gets made, because none has been announced. But as I have always said to people, Ratchet & Clank do seem to still be pretty popular, thanks to all of you guys buying lots of Ratchet & Clank games. So I can't imagine they've had their last adventure, but we don't have anything to announce on that front. So who knows? Everyone here is very busy working on Spider-Man right now. That's the thing you have to understand. Like everyone's working on Spider-Man. Yeah, so
it's a huge game.
Yeah.
James Stevenson has mixed feelings. Yeah, it's interesting, I guess, but it's not centered around Ratchet & Clank. It's not a Ratchet & Clank game. You'll not have Ratchet & Clank playable. Translation. Is it gonna sell? Really? Like, are you sure? You're asking me for a prequel, but are you sure it's gonna sell? And now the other part of the community, Mr. Algeier. Well, we don't know if we're gonna go for like a post into the Nexus game or post reimagining, which is something very true. This is something they're yet trying to figure out, I guess. Maybe they did decide something behind closed doors, we don't know anything yet. They've been busy with Spider-Man. Like, really busy. Anywho, the way Algeier spoke, it seems like it caught his interest. Like, it's very interesting. Not a bad idea, but we aren't too sure if a prequel would work if, let's say, we go with a post-reimagining. If they were to continue with the 2016 game, a prequel would be too out of the blue, like completely random. And why? Because the whole Lombax thing in the PS4 game, it's very subtle. But as for the old saga, the fan base is familiar with the species called the Lombaxes escaping to a different dimension. I'm pretty sure a lot of you would love to know a lot more about that. Some said yes in my poll, some said no, and I understand. You guys have very good points. But seriously, Ratchet & Clank has now more than 10 games. Would it even hurt to release a prequel? They made a game in 6 months. Yes, it's a short game, but in 6 months they can produce Ratchet & Clank. Did I ever say this in the past? After A Crack in Time, they could have taken a break. We didn't need All for One or Full Frontal Assault. They are fun games, but it's not their best. And yet, they decided to go with it. So would a prequel hurt? A full-fledged game, with not Ratchet being playable. Sure, it's not Ratchet & Clank a traditional game, but with enough marketing by Sony, it's gonna sell regardless. Sure, it's not centered around our two main duos we're used to. If it holds true to the mechanics and feel of the traditional games, it is gonna sell. Like, what is this game? Very intriguing, I'ma buy it. If you want to freshen up the series, go for it. There's so much story potential with both Kaidan and Azimuth. Kaidan theorized of the Great Clock, remember? Did he meet Orvis by any chance? They could explore that. A series that went strong for almost 2 decades. Would it be wrong to consider a prequel? I think Insomniac Games would be honored. Like, wow, we've reached a point where we dive even deeper into something we created. A prequel. A story on a character which has nothing to do with Ratchet and Clank. Well, technically Kaidan is Ratchet's father, but you get the point. Bring back Fixman. He would write one heck of a prequel, and I expect it to be the darkest game out of the series. Because why? The battle on Fast Tune, obviously. So with that being said, guys, I think I did say enough for this video. So tell me in the comments section below, do you agree or disagree with the prequel? Do you think it's a great way of freshening up the series or not? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.